Where do the Dodgers stand in the aftermath of the MLB trade deadline? Why they did not go all in? That's coming up next on Dodgers Dugout Live.
It's time for Dodger baseball. Welcome to Dodger Stadium.
This is the golden age of Dodger baseball. The Dodgers are building a dynasty.
You got it, Robbie Parade. We got it, Parade. The Dodgers punch back and head to the championship series.
Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
Monkey magic.
Freeman hits the ball to right field. She is gone.
Start the party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
Think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.
What is up, Dodgers Nation, and welcome to Dodgers Dugout Live, the #1 Dodgers podcast and Dodgers show on YouTube. My name is Doug McKain, credentialed member of the media. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. If you're a longtime subscriber, if you just want to support the show every single day, hit the like button and drop a comment down below. Grade the Dodgers trade deadline return. A, B, C, D. It's not an F, but if you want to get F, fine. D/F. Drop it down below. We'll read on the show later for the 7th inning stretch. I asked you guys over on the X to give your thoughts on the Dodgers trade deadline. Did they do very good? Did they do bad? So go over there and vote on that, and we'll read the results later. Right now, 22% of Dodgers fans saying the Dodgers had a very good deadline, 53% saying a semi-good deadline, and 25% saying not good. So talk more about that, but we have a guest today to break it all down. If you guys do not subscribe to this man's channel, go do it right after the show. Do it during the show if you want to. Robbie Hyde, over 50,000 subscribers. He was live yesterday for 9+ hours. I almost felt bad for asking him to go on the show. He's also the host of Monster Territory. That is the Red Sox podcast through Foul Territory. You can check that out on YouTube as well. Robbie, how are you awake? How are you feeling today? The little post-deadline buzz still? I mean, how are we feeling, Robbie?
You know, listen, man, we've got a couple of cups of coffee in. I'm actually doing okay. The last couple of years I've done these 8+ hour streams. I'm cooked after. Last year, I fell asleep not even 30 minutes after. I was completely fried. But yesterday, I don't know, I was awake, and I think it was because of the Red Sox lackluster deadline. I had a lot of adrenaline going. I wasn't very happy with it. I was a little cheesed off, I would say. No disrespect to Dustin May. We'll talk about him in just a second, but overall, I'm feeling pretty good. But I think the lackluster deadline, that kept me awake a bit, I would say.
Yeah, I was reading your tweets. I was actually tuning into your channel too at points throughout. What exactly happened with the whole Joe Ryan thing?
Well, I think the Red Sox, that feels like one of the worst kept secrets in baseball, that Joe Ryan, you see Joe Ryan, Garrett Crochet at the All-Star game taking pictures. They just so happen to be near each other, like while walking in. I don't know, they're buddies, but still you're looking at it. That's been a guy that fits. People have seen how good he's been this year. The Twins, they look coming into the deadline yesterday, looking like a team that was going to sell, and they definitely did. He seemed like a perfect fit for the Red Sox, and the Red Sox have really rebuilt this farm system over the last couple of years. You felt like you had the pieces to get it done. There was interest there. Yahoo Sports, MLB, Fox, they put out graphics saying the deal was done, and then all of a sudden it wasn't done. So I don't know what happened, but in the end, it looks like the Red Sox, they just weren't aggressive enough in the end. That happened with Garrett Crochet last year, and you remember the Dodgers were definitely involved for Garrett Crochet. So maybe that's something they can revisit in the offseason. We'll see, but a little disappointing not getting him, but overall disappointment just not doing more at the deadline. So.
Yeah, you didn't get Joe Ryan, but you did get Dustin May, and you're going to like it. No, but seriously, let's talk about that trade. The Dodgers, they trade right-handed pitcher Dustin May, and they get in return 2 minor league outfielders, James Tibbs and Zach Earhart. First, James Tibbs, a former first-round pick in 2024. He was a Farhan Zaidi draft pick, and he was also the dude included in the Rafael Devers deal? Like, how much of a headliner was he in that deal? And just what was your immediate reaction to what they gave up to get Dustin May?
Well, it's funny with Tibbs because I go back to the draft and the Red Sox, they ended up getting Brady Montgomery. That was a bit of a birthday gift for them in that draft. But one of the rumored players for them was Tibbs. And funny enough, we ended up, getting him back in that trade. And, I was pretty excited for it. But when he came over to Boston, it wasn't a huge sample size, around 20, 30 games or so, but just wasn't really performing. And I think the Red Sox, they were looking to see, okay, let's see how he fits in our system. Let's see, what we can do to maybe get him to take a bit of a step further. And he just wasn't really showing that in the first few games here with the Red Sox. There definitely is a good player there. To me, I'm not surprised he ended up getting flipped because the Red Sox already had a lot of lefty bats in the system. I was kind of thinking to myself, maybe they bring him in, try to get a little bit more out of him, and then maybe send him off somewhere. This is not the trade that I thought it was going to be, though.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked, to be honest with you. I mean, Dustin May, clearly from just a pure stuff perspective, he's absolutely nasty when he's right. In the last third of the season, ERA north of 5, strikeouts, walks. I mean, just nothing truly consistently explosive. And then he's given up 16 home runs. And he just really was not going to be a part of this Dodgers rotation with guys like Blake Snell coming back, Shohei's pitching again, Emmet Sheehan's back. They just did not have a spot in the rotation. Yesterday, Dodgers general manager, he told us that there were conversations between him and Dustin May, and that he didn't demand or request a trade, but he did make it pretty clear that he wanted to be a starter. So clearly he gets that opportunity for the Red Sox. Where do you see him slotting in that rotation?
Right now, he's going to be the fifth man. I believe he's starting this coming Sunday. So quick turnaround for him. But really, when you look at the numbers, when you look at the advanced metrics with May, really, I mean, he's got 2 good pitches that he's been working with. So you almost look at the stuff that he has, really the 2 pitches, you kind of wonder if he would be a better fit in the bullpen long term. I think he's going to have to show more to stick in the rotation long term. Well, is that going to be the Red Sox? I don't know. It's only going to be for, a couple of months, at least at this point. Maybe this could end up being sort of a tryout. Maybe the Red Sox, if he does well, they can figure out something. If it ends up being a good fit with him and Andrew Bailey, maybe they can come up with, maybe an extension or something for next year. Or who knows? But I'm interested to see. I think it really comes down to, can he get a bit more of a pitch mix going? I think you have obviously seen that over the years here with May, along with the injuries that he's had. But, that's what I think it comes down to. If they can just get a bit more out of him, I think he can probably stay in that rotation. If not, though, I could see him being a bullpen guy in the future. I'm curious to hear your thoughts about that.
Yeah, as far as the bullpen, we kind of talked about this for the last couple of years, just because he's dealt with multiple injuries. He had the Tommy John surgery. He had the flexor tendon repair. He almost died because he was choking on some lettuce. I don't know if you know that story. He actually almost died this offseason, and he had to get surgery where they went through his abdomen. I mean, it was a scary situation. Yeah. But bottom line is kind of that 3/4 delivery. It's been kind of hard for him to stay healthy. And yeah, I think there is a world where we know, look, I mean, Michael Kopech, perfect example that the Dodgers can look at. I mean, Andrew Miller, kind of a best case scenario example where failed starters, their next step when they have stuff, but they can't work out as a starter, they go to the bullpen, try it out as a reliever. I think for him, the big concern for me would just be that gives up home runs, but also it's like sometimes the movement profile on his stuff, especially that 2-seamer, it almost works against him. And then you look at the home run that Bregman hit, right? It was just a hanging sweeper right over the plate. And I do think that, look, the thing about him is he's lost a couple miles per hour on that velocity. So you come out of the pen, naturally that velo is going to tick up. And if he goes 1 or 2, that's already closer to where he was when he was at his best. And then also you're not facing the lineup 2 and 3 times. I think that's the thing too with Dustin May. You'll see him cruise, and then that second or third time, then they adjust to him, and then you get those big innings, and then you see the frustration. So he's kind of a frustrating, the Dustin May experience, the Dustin Mania, it's a frustrating experience because there's just so much there. And one inning, it looks like he's an all-star. The next inning, you're like, dude, like trade this guy to the Red Sox. You know what I mean? It's like,
I mean, we saw that with the Dodgers Red Sox
exactly
last week. You saw he struck out the side, and then he gives up an absolute bomb to Bregman, right? So it's funny how that works out. Again, when I'm looking at the numbers here, the sweeper has been a good pitch for him overall when he doesn't hang it. the four-seamer has been a good pitch, but the sinker, like you just mentioned, it does have good movement profile on it, but it's been a hittable pitch overall. The cutter has been a hittable pitch. The one thing I'd like to hear your thought on this, where I feel like he's lacking an off-speed pitch. I feel like maybe he's a bit predictable. Because again, getting back to the two pitches, I just feel like, you got these three hard, different kind of fastballs, and then he's just got a sweeper and that's it. So that's where I think it kind of ties into where he can look great one inning, and then the next inning he's just getting pounded. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, look, he has thrown a curveball in the past, but I think the number one key for Dustin May is this, and I've said this on this show for years. Back before he got injured a couple years ago, when you still had the sticky stuff, he was throwing a lot of four-seam fastball, and that strikeout rate was like at 37% off the top of my head. And I think for him, it's, can you go to a four-seam fastball to work the upper quadrants of the zone? And then you can actually control it, where you don't have to worry about, okay, I'm going to throw the two-seamer, try to hit the outside corner, but it leaks over the middle of the plate and guys do damage. So I would basically go a little away from that two-seamer, even though it has a lot of movement, induces soft contact, and kind of focus on, kind of reinventing your mix a little bit with the four-seamer. And I think you could do that out of the pen, because I think you can hit 97, 98, 99 with that. So look at us. We're fixing Dustin May on the fly. But I want to get your thoughts on what the Dodgers did, because yes, you are a Red Sox host. That's your team. But one thing that's great about Robbie Hyde is he's one of the great ball knowers of every team. Like, this is a guy that spends all year talking about trades, talking about free agency, things like that. And because of that, you talk a lot of Dodgers, right? Because the Dodgers are always in the mix with big players, making big signings. Yeah. Now, I want to start with Steven Kwan, because that was really the big fish for the Dodgers at the end. Mason Miller goes to the Padres. Johan Duran goes to the Phillies. Outside of that, I mean, they weren't in play for many other big names. I mean, Pete Fairbanks, Bednar, guys like that possibly. But Steven Kwan was the name that we're hearing out here that they were involved with, at least just having those conversations with the Guardians. In your estimation, how close do you think they got to getting a deal done with Kwan, and how big do you think they would have had to go? Dalton Rushing, DePaul. It feels like you're talking top prospects to get a guy like that, all-star bat, under years of team control. But what are you hearing? What did you hear about Steven Kwan?
I know everyone, they like to say they got a source and whatever. I have a trusted buddy out there. I call him the little birdie. Yeah, he's been very trustworthy for me. Last year, the first trade that he reported for me was Dylan Floro getting traded at last year's trade deadline. And I was like, okay, all right, cool. We're rolling. I trust this guy. So he texted me. And he actually told me last year about Jack Flaherty. He was saying, hey, there's some noise with the Yankees, but there's something with the back. I'll get back to you. And then you ended up seeing a report 20 minutes later where, okay, the Yankees are pulling out, right? But he told me yesterday that there was something cooking with the Dodgers and Kwan, and people in the industry, it seemed like they were starting to believe that Kwan would be going to the Dodgers. And then it just didn't happen. They were a rumored team for him over the past week. In the end, I think the Guardians, they run a tight ship over there, and my guess is they wanted a lot, and I think the Dodgers just weren't really willing to go there. I wonder if that could be an off-season thing where they could revisit that. We'll see, but I don't know. I wasn't completely sold that he was going, but I was ready for it.
Yeah, and you look at a player like that, and anytime you got an all-star guy that's under multiple years of team control, that profiles more as an off-season trade, right? Because if you're the Guardians, you want to just open that up. We're selling him. What's the best offer we can get? You guys line it up, this and that. And then all 29 teams can potentially be interested, or at least they know about it, and just more of a process. For a player like Kwan, though, if you're a team like the Dodgers, right, where really your most pressing need was the bullpen. I mean, you're starting rotation, you got guys coming back to the offense. You feel like Teoscar Hernandez and Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts and Max Muncy coming back, that they're going to be able to generate runs. And the bottom line is, if those guys don't produce, would it really matter what Steven Kwan could do for the last 30% of the season of the postseason that would really have led to a World Series title? Or do you think that, no, they probably should have just done whatever it took to get Steven Kwan? Like, if you're the Dodgers, what would you have done? Would you have said DePaula, Rushing, top-level prospects? Because my whole thing is, look, my phrase on the show is parades over prospects, right? But I like to trade those top-level prospects superstars for superstars, right? Like things like that. But would you have just gone burn the boats all in with your top level prospects for Steven Kwan based on where the Dodgers are at?
Me, because I love trades, yes, I would have absolutely done it because I love seeing a blockbuster trade. It's one of my favorite things. When I see the Jeff Passan tweet, it's great. I love it. It's so fun. But if you're actually looking at it from an organizational point of view, I think you're going to have Dodger fans split on my opinion here because I see a good half of them that would like to keep Dalton Rushing and the other half that would be okay with moving him. I feel like that is a kind of a trade. Who knows what ends up happening, for next year, if Rushing can end up finding a spot, some, consistent playing time, we'll see. But based off of how it is right now, he is blocked behind Will Smith. Freddie Freeman, obviously, he's turning into a Dodger legend here. He's not going anywhere for a couple of years. Wouldn't be surprised to see them extend him or whatever. So what is Rushing going to be looking like in the future? And I feel like with the Guardians, they need an offensive boost back there over Bo Naylor. I think that would have been a perfect fit, right? If you did Rushing going back, Kwan going to the Dodgers, and with Conforto struggling this year, minus the Red Sox, he was kicking the crap out of us. I think that made sense for both sides, but that seemed like a fair trade to me. I know Dodger fans have been a little split on that. I'm curious to hear your thoughts, though.
I mean, look, I'm with you. I mean, there's nothing that matches the electricity of a Passan bomb in a big trade, a big signing. I mean, we have the best example again, Shohei and Freddie, and the list goes on and on. Mookie Betts, I don't want to bring that one up right here, but a little bit of a sore subject. But I think that when you look at where they're at, and Dalton Rushing in particular, right? I mean, the night prior, they had traded Hunter Fiducia to the Tampa Bay Rays. And in that deal, they got in return Ben Rortvedt to take on that backup depth catcher role. But Will Smith is a player who, outside of Cal Raleigh, you can make a case he's the best catcher in baseball. Offensively, defensively combined, at least in that conversation, right? He's also so important when it comes to managing this pitching staff because there's just so much talent. The bullpen, he's really grown as a game caller and things like that. He's also been injury prone to a degree where, yes, he plays. If you look at, he doesn't miss that many games, but he plays through injuries, right? And that's part of the reason why he hit 200 for the last 3 months of the season last year. But if you lose Will Smith for an injury, Austin Barnes was DFA'd earlier in the year. And he was their veteran catcher, Kershaw's BFF, really was great at developing some of these young pitchers. They really trusted him. You don't have him. Then Hunter Fiducia's gone. And then you mean to tell me that you're going for Renvort, right? Someone like that. I just think that trading away Dalton Rushing, which I'm not totally against because he is blocked, right? And there's some talk. I mean, I've talked to people this morning that say, look, you probably will see some more first base from next year. They might try him again in the outfield next year. But also, look, I mean, when's Paul Skeens getting traded, right? Could it be next trade deadline? Could it be? I mean, he's going to get traded. Like I talked to every single Pirates insider. They're going to trade him at some point. And the Dodgers keeping that farm system intact for when he does, that's something I think is pretty important to this organization, just to have those chips, because you trade Rushing and DePaula for really, really top level guys. They're going to be moved. Versus Steven Kwan, he's really a great player. He's an all-star guy. I love the fact that his floor is like a 280 guy, that he's going to put the ball in play for a lineup like the Dodgers that has a lot of boomer buzz type sluggers and boppers. To have someone like Kwan, I mean, we saw Edman last year. Like when he's right, he can do similar things than that. No doubt about it, it would have helped. But there's a couple things in play too. Michael Conforto. I was going to say,
I was going to add it on. I wanted to add on to that. I think Kwan, the skill set that he brings, I think would have really been nice for the Dodgers. The Dodgers, they do have a bit of swing and miss there. They rank lower when it comes to contact. I think that would have been great. I think that would have been a perfect fit. But then you just look at Conforto. It's easy for us, right, to say, oh, well, just send Conforto to the Sun. Well, there's money involved here. What can't really. I don't know. It's easier said than done. You can't really just get rid of them. I don't know. Maybe you could, but I think there were probably some things where they were like, you know what? Maybe we'll look at it in the offseason.
Absolutely. And the whole Rortvedt thing, I mean, he's just a depth guy. I mean, there were people saying, oh, they traded for him so they could free up Dalton Rushing. Maybe that was the case, but I do, at the end of the day, based on what I've heard, what I just know, based on how inflated that market was, I don't think there was a world where, I mean, maybe Alex Freeland, Jackson Ferris, guys like that, but the Guardians, they're an organization that they like to get the best in trades. And the Dodgers are the same way, that they like to feel like they got the best deal, like they won the trade. And for those two organizations to come to an agreement, it was going to have to be an overpay on the Dodgers end, and on the Guardians end, yeah, like, sure, I think they would have moved Steven Kwan, but was it like a Tarek Skubal type of thing last year? You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, yeah, he's available if there's a Godfather offer, if there's something that we can't refuse. I don't think it was like, no, we're trading him or we're going to take the best package available. I don't think that's how it was for Kwan.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like, it's very nice to have, and a couple of years of control. So that would have been pretty nice too. In the end, you know, I think for the Dodgers, what they did, I think bringing in Brock Stewart, a guy that he's been all right at keeping the home run ball down. That's something the Dodgers, I think they needed to add to their bullpen. They rank, I believe, 20th overall when it comes to home runs per 9 with their relief pitching. And Stewart, he's got under a home run per 9 this year. I think that was a nice move to bring him back. It wasn't, you know, this blockbuster deadline like we've seen with the Dodgers in the past. But they have so much talent there, you know, and it's like, did they really need to go out there and do a Max Scherzer, Trey Turner kind of a move? I don't think they did necessarily. They already have tons of talent, and they got guys getting healthy. Blake Snell, you could look at it as a trade deadline acquisition in a sense, right? Because he's coming back, and Glasnow just came back too. I like the move. Could, you know, of course, is there always room for more? Yes, but I think the Dodgers did fine. Not like an A+ by any means, but I think it was fine even without Steven Kwan.
I gave him a C+, B-, kind of closer to a C+. What do you think about that grade?
I'm a glass half full kind of a guy. I always, that's the former teacher in me that taught second grade for almost 10 years.
Fun fact with Robbie Hyde. What was your favorite subject?
Give a little
bit
of a boost, right?
Yeah.
I would say B- or B. That sounds right. Because in the end, I think they needed a bullpen guy, and they addressed the need. You know, I was kind of hoping maybe they could go after, you know, Bednar. I even thought Dennis Santana could have been, a pretty decent fit. Or Duran, Yohan Duran would have been the blockbuster. That would, if you're looking for a guy that doesn't give up the long ball, he would have been perfect, in my opinion. That was it. But Brock Stewart, and a guy that's under control, so you're going to have him for a little while. So I think it was a good move. Maybe a bit more volume would have been nice. Yeah, sure. But I think it's fine.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair for sure. I mean, you talk about Durant. That was my guy. That's what I was pumping up for months on this show. That's what I was hoping to get. Just how would you comp that if you're on the Dodgers end? Because they give up Mick Abel, Eduardo Tate, and Abel's a guy that definitely he can potentially be a frontline-ish starter, right? He kind of took a step back, then took a step forward. Tate is like a 18-year-old catcher that rakes, that has a bright future too. And we saw last year, I mean, the Dodgers traded Tyron Lorenzo in the Jack Flaherty deal. I mean, if you trade a catcher at the deadline, I mean, you can get stuff in return, but like the comp for that, I mean, I still think you're looking at a like Jackson Ferris, Zaire Hope type thing to get a Johan Durant. Would you agree?
I think value-wise, when you're looking at the scouting grades, yes, I think that fits. But this is where I think team preference comes into play, where the Twins, when you look at their system, not a whole lot of quality catchers in their system. And you look at someone like Eduardo Tate, who is a pretty high-ranked catcher. I love that move for the Twins. I think they did great getting a guy like him because they didn't really have a guy like that, right? You look Ryan Jeffers, he's coming up on free agency here in a couple years. Tate could be your next guy. So I do think there was a bit of a fit factor. I don't think the Dodgers, they didn't lack the talent. I think it more, at least in my opinion, I think probably came down to the preference of what the Twins were looking for. And I think the Phillies just matched up. I think if you're looking at it from a pitcher comp point of view, I think, like you said, Ferris could have been nice, even like Robleski and maybe another guy possibly. I just think in the end, Tate is a really good prospect to get. And the Dodgers didn't really have a catcher, well, rushing, but I'd say rushing is a lot more valuable. I wouldn't have given up rushing for Duran. But Tate, who's further away, I think just made a lot of sense for the Twins. I mean, if you're looking at it from like a different position, I don't know, maybe like Alex Freeland could have been a decent guy to send back. But I think the Dodgers like Alex Freeland. That's just my opinion. I don't know if they would have wanted to part with him. I don't know. In the end, though, I just think the Twins and the Phillies, they did match up very well.
Yeah, I think that certainly was the case, and I think you're absolutely right. I mean, Alex Freeland's a guy that he could be his third baseman next year, right? He could be their future at that position. We'll see how that plays out. And they also have the ability to go out there in free agency and add guys that way because they have let's not forget, $400 million roster, right? And they also have the ability to make trades in the offseason. What are your thoughts on the Padres, though? The Padres absolutely rehauled that roster. They added 7 players, headlined by Mason Miller, JP Sears. You get Ryan O'Hearn, you got Ramon Laureano, and you got Freddie Fermin. I mean, Willie Wagner, Nestor Cortez, who I'm sure he's having PT Freddie this morning, just thinking about the Grand Slam in the World Series. But I mean, what do you think stands out? What do you make of what they've done? And do you think that this immediately vaults them into being one of the favorites in the National League? Or do you think, okay, it's a reliever or some other pieces? I mean, how high are you on what the Padres did at the deadline?
Well, I always look at it in terms of, okay, did you address needs? They did, right? I mean, they needed some more pop in the lineup. You're bringing O'Hearn, you're bringing Laureano. Very good, in my opinion, right? They added some needed pop, right? I think you probably could have used, their bullpen was already pretty good. But if you could always just strengthen your bullpen, especially for the postseason, we've seen how, good bullpens. I mean, you saw it with the Dodgers, right? You saw, how a lethal bullpen can help you win a championship. And the Padres, they just did that. And they're they keep all their starters. They bring in JP Sears to give them innings. Nestor Cortez, hopefully for his health. I hope he doesn't run into Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, there you go.
But that's inevitable, honestly.
Yeah.
But I think they did really good. I mean, what they gave up Leo DeVries, that's a big loss. Like when you get a shortstop prospect like that, that's very valuable. But AJ Preller, this guy's a psycho. He's a madman.
Yes.
He hates all prospects. If you're a prospect, he doesn't like you. He's getting rid of you, and he's going to do whatever he can to at least. We saw the Padres; they took the Dodgers down to the final second, the final breath, and Preller he's not gonna stop, and he will unload his farm system. You could see a lot of Padres fans, they were pretty upset about giving up DeVries, but it's funny because when that trade happened, I was looking all around Padre land. Padres fans were very upset, but then at the end of the deadline, they're like, okay, we're winning a World Series. It's funny how that shifted like that for them. They're very excited. The Padres are definitely a team they're going to be very competitive here. But caps off to AJ Preller, man. He just gets it done every year.
He goes crazy, man. He treats those prospects like Leonardo DiCaprio treats his 25-year-old girlfriends. Like right when they turn 25, right when they can trade them, like you're gone. Like we're going to include you in a deal. It doesn't matter. I do think that, look, at the end of the day, they need to score runs. And the reason why they didn't beat the Dodgers last year is because they went 24 innings without scoring a run. If they had scored 3 runs, they would have probably won the World Series last year. I mean, a couple of years before that, if Minaya doesn't get rocked, maybe they win the World Series that year. So, I mean, look, what I say about Preller is like, I don't know if he's great at baseball, but I know he's great for baseball, right? I mean, at the end of the day, Andrew Friedman is still the guy that he has got the hardware, but I think it's great for the Dodgers just to not get complacent and play meaningful baseball down the stretch. Now, what can you tell me about Alex Call? Because I think this was a guy that people are immediately Googling Baseball Reference, Fangraphs. By the way, when you wear the Fangraphs t-shirt, bro, like I got to get me the Fangraphs shirt. That is straight fire, by the way.
It's a great shirt. It's very comfy.
Is it?
But funny story, I've got a couple of them. I'm always wearing the Fangraphs shirt, and I promise it's not the same one. I rotate them. I lost the first one. I left it at an Airbnb in the dryer, many people have done in the past at Airbnb. So I bought another one, and then I was able to get that and the other clothes that I left at the Airbnb. So I have 2 Fangraphs shirts. But yes, they're very good. I highly recommend.
The only thing, like Lakers, like LA, we don't love to wear green, Boston green, so kind of tough for us, but it is a fire t-shirt.
Yes, thank you. But as for Alex Call, I think it's a good move. The guy's going to be good defensively out there. The Dodgers outfield ranks near the bottom in terms of outfield defense, so that's going to give them a nice boost. And a guy that he's going to be a pain in the butt when he's at the plate. I mean, no, he's not going to be Shohei Ohtani up there, but he's going to be tough to strike out. He's going to be a guy that he's going to draw the walk. He's going to work the counts. I think that's a nice get for them. I think, again, he kind of just there's not a whole lot of weaknesses on the Dodgers, but I think he just fills those little cracks that could end up, coming back to haunt the Dodgers if they hadn't gotten him. So I like that move a lot.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it feels like it's a Timu Steven Kwan, right? I mean, he's someone that he can kind of put the ball in play, plus defense, things like that. He's not going to be an all-star. I mean, who knows? Could he regress to being a 4A player again? It's very possible. I mean, he's a guy that he was a waiver claim at one point. So that's kind of who he is. But I still like your logic. Did you have a need? Did you address that need in some capacity? Now you have an outfield that improves the defense, that is a natural platoon partner with Miles Conforto because he's got a 124 weighted runs created plus against righties, and against lefties, then Conforto can rake against righties. And Conforto's actually been their third best hitter this month, really right up there with Will Smith below that. So, yeah, I think offensively it's going to come down to their stars. But let's be honest, it's all about the offseason at this point because that's the next exciting thing when we get free agency. Yeah. What names are you looking at? I mean, we know the Dodgers, there was a rumor, they might be involved in Kyle Tucker and they'll enter that. But, of course, that's just the classic Dodgers being linked with a big-name free agent. Just kind of what's your overall assessment of the big names for this free agency?
So hold on, let me just make sure I am up to date with the upcoming free agency. Conforto, he's gone. Kirby Yates is gone.
Yates will be gone.
Is Kershaw retired? Yes, he's definitely retiring. Okay,
yeah, there you go.
Okay, Kike. Yeah, I mean they don't have a lot of big free agents. I wonder if they would be in the outfield market. I mean, of course, they're going to be. They're definitely going to be involved for Tucker, I would imagine. We'll see what happens with him. Will the Dodgers? I mean, because they've spent so much money. I know they will be willing to spend the money. I just wonder. I'm like, are they going to keep doing this? Like, it's crazy what they do. Wouldn't be surprised at all if they made a run at him. That's kind of where I'm looking at. I'm looking at the outfield market. I think they would probably like to, fortify that bullpen for next year. And, I think the big thing for the Dodgers, if they could go out there, find a way to go bring someone in that can help with all these injuries, right? That would be the amazing add of the offseason for me, for the Dodgers, right? Go add to the athletic training department, right? I mean, goodness gracious, got to keep these guys healthy.
That definitely would solve a lot of their problems for sure. I mean, I look at this free agent class. I mean, they really are kind of one of those teams where you're going to go right at the top, or you're just kind of going to look for guys on one-year deals, take advantage of guys that are trying to reestablish their name, the JD Martinez's, the Teoscar Hernandez's, the Confortos, those types. But you look at just the pitchers like Cease, Gallen, Framber Valdez, those aren't names they're going to go after. Michael King, Brandon Woodruff, Zach Eflin, Ranger Suarez, not those types. I do think one name that's going to be pretty interesting is what do they do at the shortstop spot? I mean, Mookie has proven that he can play shortstop at the big league level, but are they going to do that for the rest of his career at age 32? He started shortstop at the age when most players transition off of shortstop, right? So it just kind of makes you wonder if he's going to stay there. I mean, look, Kyle Tucker, would love that name. I mean, the guy, hasn't had a great July, but still one of the top 10 to 15 bats, at worst 15, top 10 in that range. But what about a Bo Bichette? Kind of looking at the Bo Bichette to the Dodgers type thing, because the truth is you actually do not have a long-term answer. Alex Freeland can play short. Tommy Edman can play short, but the issue there is they didn't sign Tommy Edman to have him as an everyday player at one position, right? Like to mix him around, second base, in the outfield. I still think they might look at shortstop once again this offseason. But what can you tell me about the shortstop market? I mean, headlined by Bo Bichette for sure.
I would love for Freeland to get a chance. He's been hitting so well at some point, but then again, you could play third too. So I hope in either capacity he gets a chance because he's been very good. But yeah, Bo Bichette, of course, after the good year he's had. I mean, how many times have we seen Bo Bichette Dodgers being connected, right? I do wonder, the Blue Jays, they're looking really good this year. I wonder if they really make a strong push to keep him around. They showed they could slap down the big bucks, keep Vlad around long term. Will they have, I think they will have the money, but will they have the desire to keep him around or to make a big offer to keep him around long term? I could see the Dodgers going after him for sure. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Show Bichette in LA, the show flow, he'd be a superstar here. I can tell you that. Now, before we get you out of here, a couple quick ones. Who is your biggest winner at the deadline?
Oh, man. It's funny because because for me, it's a little subjective because I can look at teams that had, depending on their goals, right? I think you got to say the Padres, unfortunately. I hate doing that on your show. I mean, they just made so many good moves. But then, you look at teams that, for example, like the Orioles, I think they won in their own way where they needed to bring in a lot of pitching into the organization. They needed to get some kind of upside there. And they brought in a ton of pitching prospects into that organization. I'm looking at what the Twins did. I mean, they trade away a whole bunch of guys. They have to pay some of the contract for Carlos Correa, but they bring in a lot of good young talent into the organization. In a way, like the sentimental value I love of Correa going back to the Astros. I think that's just it's pulling the heartstrings a little bit. I kind of like that. And I think the Astros, they made a few pretty decent moves here. Like I love that the A's, they bring in Leo DeVries, sure, giving up Mason Miller. I love that the Phillies, they bring in a closer that they needed a set guy at closer. There's a whole bunch of winners for me in just their own ways.
Yeah, I mean, I look at a team like the Mariners, man. I mean, that's a team that.
Oh, the Mariners too. Yeah, sorry.
Mariners, I mean, I did look
really good.
If you didn't love Griffey at one point, I mean, like that kind of tells you what era you kind of grew up in. But an organization with the Emerald Green that has not won a World Series title to go out there and I think get a dude in Eugenio Suarez for what they gave to get him, I was pretty shocked, really. I mean, turns out, 54 bombs, a guy like that. And you add him to that lineup where you had J.P. Crawford, J-Rod, Cal Raleigh, the big dumper, best nickname in the show, Randy Arozarena, Josh Naylor, and you already have a really good rotation. I think that their team that needed to go all and they added some pieces. Dodgers, Mariners, we take that. The Correa stuff is extremely vomit-inducing for Dodgers fans. It absolutely is.
I'm sorry to bring that up.
It's okay. I mean, like this is the keep it 100. We hit all topics type of show. As far as the National League, I just can feel a Phillies Dodgers NLCS. I can feel it. Would that be your pick right now?
You're looking at two. I mean, I also like what the Mets did. They really fortified that bullpen. I think they're a team you got to watch out for. The teams that are in contention, well, minus my Red Sox, of course. I don't know what they're doing, but they went out there and they were aggressive and they made the moves to fortify their teams. There's good teams here in the National League, man. The Dodgers are already good. The Padres, the Mets. It's going to get pretty juicy here in the second half. I'm pretty excited for it.
Okay, a couple quick ones out here. So you're in the bleachers and you catch an opposing team's home run. You keeping it or you throwing it back, Robbie Hyde?
Oh, who's hitting it?
Let's just say a random. Let's say it's Carlos Correa, Astros, Red Sox.
You know what? I'm keeping it. I'm not keeping one of those. Even if it's,
I'm trying to throw it at him as he's rounding second. Like,
yeah, was that Sean Carlos Stanton? I think.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm keeping it. To me, I'm looking at the fact that my potato self would even catch a ball. I mean, first off, I'm a doofus, so if I actually had the ability to catch a foul or a home run ball, foul ball, whatever, I mean, I'm keeping it because that to me, my goodness. Like that's a success in itself. So.
For me, I would want to be one of those guys where it pans to you and they show you giving it to a kid, right? And you look like the nicest guy in the world.
To be honest, I would.
I wouldn't give it to a kid, but I would give it to him at a discounted rate compared to like if it were an adult trying to buy it off me. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, it'd be good times. Okay, I want to ask you, favorite Red Sox of all time, but also Red Sox that you hated the most? Because for me, it's Josh Reddick when he was on the Dodgers. All the post Dodgers hate, right? I mean, if there's someone that comes to mind, that's fine. If not, that's okay too. Maybe you love like Red Sox, but who's your Red Sox GOAT for you personally?
Oh, it's weird with me because I have like, for me, like my all time, well, David Ortiz is the obvious answer, right? Like the Pedros, Dustin Pedroia. I love the grittiness of him. And he was just so good. I loved Trot Nixon growing up. Like I don't know what it was. It was just the way he played. The guy was a dirt dog. The guy was just all business. He was pretty much, he was going to beat up Manny pretty much every single game if Manny was being lazy in a game or whatever. Trot Nixon just was that dude you didn't want to tick off. He was just that guy. He was the dirt dog. Like Trot Nixon's awesome. I love Trot Nixon. And then a guy, I mean, you got to say Pablo Sandoval. I think I'm making Dodgers fans very happy by saying that. Sorry, when I saw the belt explode,
Yeah.
I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're done. It's over. Like that was one of the most. I'm literally. That's like for me when I'm watching games, right? Like sometimes I'll look at my phone real quick. I'm making something to eat, whatever. I remember that's one of the games that I'm like just watching. Like I'm just sitting there and I just watched that happen. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, first off, I said, what was that? And then I said, I'm like, that couldn't have been his belt. It was his belt. I couldn't believe it. I said, please get this guy out of here. Like we're done. I couldn't believe it. Like John Heyman says, couldn't even believe it.
Too much Panda Express for the Panda or something. I don't know. Yeah, no, I thought you might say I also thought Carl Crawford could be an option. Dodgers fans would approve of that. But of course, Robbie's talking about the time where I think it was the Blue Jays, right? And he takes that swing in the belt, basically. He basically DFAs his own belt, right? The belt went to the IL during the game. His thing just absolutely exploded.
Unbelievable. It's actually unbelievable, because it's like he was just so bad, but it was also just like, wow, like you also just really let yourself go like at that point. But it was also too, this guy during the games, I don't know how many people actually remember this story, but Jared Carabas actually discovered this. During the game, he was liking girls' pictures on Instagram, like during the game.
That's crazy.
And then Carabas, I remember he put something out on Twitter like, is Pablo on Instagram like during the game? And everyone was like, what the? Like, I don't know, man. The guy, I think he got the contract, he got the bag, and he's like, well, I'm good. I'm going to go on Instagram during the games. I'm going to just eat about 10,000 calories a day, and we're good. We're good.
You're out of shape when, you know what I mean? Your belt explodes during that. I feel bad for that belt because that belt was like, he was like the Trot Nixon of belts. You know what I mean? He was just doing everything he could. He was trying to just keep that girth in and boom, just pops. It was crazy. Like, go on YouTube and find that, guys. It's hilarious. But it's Robbie Hyde, man, you are the man. We appreciate the time. A day after going 9 hours live for the MLB trade deadline to join us here on Dodgers Dugout Live to talk the aftermath. And we'll talk to you at some point later in the season, the offseason. We can't wait to meet up with you again. And good luck to your Red Sox. Take care of Dustin May and Walker Buehler for us. And we'll catch you with you soon, my man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. It's always fun coming on here. I'd love to come back postseason time and hype up the Dodgers some for you.
Absolutely. We'll check out with you soon. Follow him on X. Subscribe to his channel, Robbie Hyde on YouTube. Also, Monster Territory on Fowtory. There he goes, Robbie Hyde. And yeah, man, he's dropped some good nuggets there, man. He was he knows his ball, man. I DM him a lot on X and just kind of talk about stuff. And it's good to get the outsider's perspective from the other teams out there. We're kind of in this Dodgers bubble, but got some super chats. We got music to my ears, 9999. Dustin May needed to bring back the Oompa Loompa squat before delivery. That's kind of crazy. I haven't thought about that in a while. We got Joni, $2. Can't believe my eyes. 10 out of 10 crossover with Hyde with DMac. Oh yeah, man. You know what's up. We got Omar Nunez, 5236. DMac, what's the girl's name that works on Dodgers Nation? Well, her name is Valentina Martinez. She's one of the writers here on Noah Cameras and Gabe Smolson. We got Manny Machado, the guy on the right knows ball. Yeah, Manny Machado, A1. Appreciate you rocking with us, Manny. We got Drew Durr. The Dodgers are better, but the Padres, Yankees, and Astros are much better after the deadline on paper anyway. Yeah, I mean, we talked about this on last night's episode of Dodgers Dugout Live. There's really no elite teams as far as record-wise in Major League Baseball right now. In fact, that kind of points to the fact that a lot of the moves that were made yesterday were for teams trying to catch up with teams like the Dodgers. I'll give you a stat. The Milwaukee Brewers are at 64-44. That's the best record in baseball. For the beginning of August, that's the lowest win percentage of a team this late in the season to have best record. For a team like the Milwaukee Brewers to have the best record in the sport and a .593 win percentage, that would put them in at a 96 win pace. The Dodgers had the best record last year at 98 wins. So the point of that is to say that there is no perfect teams in baseball. And the Dodgers, we've talked about this extensively. Yeah, would I have liked to see Johan Duran on the Dodgers? 100%. Would I have liked to go to that next tier and get David Bednar and get a Ryan Helsley? I sure would have. Would I have liked Mason Miller? Yes, but you can't buy a house that's not for sale, and the owner of that house gets to sell their house to the highest bidder that they want to sell to. So even if the Dodgers were all in on Mason Miller, and even if the Dodgers had been willing to give up DePaula and Rushing, there's no guarantee that the A's would have taken the Dodgers deal over the Padres deal. Because like I said yesterday, what the Padres gave up for Mason Miller, it was extreme. And if it works out, great. And you got to give them credit for going that route. But at the end of the day, the Dodgers are not keeping their prospects because they're prospect huggers, because they're afraid to make deals. They're keeping those prospects so they can use them for bigger deals and use them for moves they can make possibly in the offseason when you can get more value. And like I said, I think Paul Skeens is going to find his way on the Dodgers somehow. And if he's traded next year and the Dodgers are in a better position to trade for a guy like that, imagine giving up those type of prospects like a Paul Skeens versus the Paul Skeens of relievers that pitches 1 or 2 innings every night, 2 nights, 3 nights throughout the postseason, things like that, versus a guy that is your game one type of starter, right? Or you look at Steven Kwan. Yes, they were involved with Steven Kwan. I can tell you that. They had conversations about Steven Kwan, and it wasn't something that happened overnight. But when the price was too high and the Guardians weren't hell-bent on selling, look, he didn't get traded, right? Kwan did not get traded, so they were not hell-bent on just trading him. That tells you that the Guardians didn't put him on the market and say, we're going to trade him. We're going to take the best offer for him. Dodgers, what's your best offer? No, it was more like, hey, yeah, like for the right price, we would trade you him. But what are you willing to offer? Dalton Rushing, DePaula, guys like that. And then they're probably thinking to themselves, well, you look at the offseason and we might try Dalton Rushing again at one of the corner outfield spots. One thing I heard was that could be a possibility along with more first base for Dalton Rushing. Also, the Dodgers, they could be in the mix for Kyle Tucker. And if you're in the mix for Kyle Tucker and you look at your outfield, well, you got Teoscar Hernandez, you got Tommy Edman occasionally, you got Andy Pages, and then now you got Alex Call. But if you had traded for Steven Kwan, then that outfield was locked with Kwan under team control for multiple years, Pages under team control for a long time, and Teo still with 2 years on his deal. And then we also don't know if Mookie Betts is going to go back to the outfield. So the Dodgers are kind of more 4D chess when a lot of the other teams are playing checkers. And the truth of the matter is, yeah, did a lot of those teams make more aggressive moves and get more superstar talent than the Dodgers? They did. There's no doubt about that. But one, the Dodgers still addressed 2 needs, and they still got a guy that could get out right-handed hitters in Brock Stewart. You still got an outfielder that is above average defender that grinds out at bats that you can use in a platoon with Conforto and move him around too if you need to. And the truth is that even if you had traded, like, name me one player. How about let's do this? Here's an exercise. And like I said, if it were me, I would have found a way to get Duran. But I also think the Phillies, the package that they gave up, the Twins were kind of more inclined to work with the Phillies than another team, right? They had their eyes set on those 2 prospects because of their roster build and where they're at. All right. But answer me this. Which player that got traded yesterday, if you had traded him to the Dodgers, would have still put them in a position to win the World Series in the event that Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez, Max Muncy, Shohei Ohtani didn't hit, right? Name me one of those players, right? I mean, think about it like that way. The point I'm trying to make is the Dodgers are betting on their offense producing, guys that have had down years up until now to have strong finishes. Freddie, Teo, Muncy coming back, Will Smith continuing to produce, Mookie getting back to where he was, Shohei even continuing to work on being a pitcher and a hitter once again. and putting up MVP numbers. I think and then the starting rotation, dude, like they had 2.5 starters last year and they won the World Series, and the roster is better this year. And they played a good team in the World Series, and they played, I think, the best team in baseball other than them in the Padres in the first round. They won it in 5 games after trailing 2-1. So yes, like they did get Jack Flaherty last year, and I predicted they would, and they got him because they needed him. And Michael Kopech and Tommy Edman turned out to be pieces that were extremely additive, and no one was talking about Tommy Edman to the Dodgers at the time. No one. And Michael Kopech, they found a way to get a lot out of him, and he was huge. And guess what? They still have him. So when you make good deals at the deadline for guys that are under multiple years of team control, it's essentially like making that deal again the next year, right? Because you still have Kopech, you still have Tommy Edman, when a lot of teams, they just deal for rentals and things like that. Like, I still think this Dodgers team, yeah, they weren't all in at the deadline. And I think that's because they're all in on the roster that they built in the offseason that was a $400 million roster. So everyone's giving AJ Preller his flowers today. And yes, it's very fun to watch AJ Preller cook. It really is. But at the end of the day, AJ Preller has added all these players. He's gone all in. He's replenished his farm system again. He maxed out his credit cards. And then it's like he gets another credit card to pay for that credit card and opens a new account and then just finds a way to get things done. But you know what the part that he skips? He skips the part where he wins the World Series like Andrew Friedman and the Dodgers have done twice. And it should have been 3 times if you count the series against the Astros. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I still feel like this roster has a good chance to win the World Series. And I still think that the Dodgers have a better chance to win the World Series today than any team in Major League Baseball. And Fangraphs agrees with me. The Dodgers, they have a 19.2% chance of winning the World Series per Fangraphs. That's still the highest in all of Major League Baseball. The Dodgers are still the betting favorites in Major League Baseball. If you ask any of these teams that made these big moves, Mets, Yankees, whatever, if they could trade rosters with the Dodgers, they'd do it in a heartbeat. They'd be like, okay, cool. Let's get the Glass Now Pinstripes jersey made. Let's get the Shohei Phillies jersey made. They would do that in a heartbeat. So let's not forget what you have in this roster. I think if you're going to be hypercritical, the one argument that I was mentioning, and then look, I'm not some like blind, okay, like sipping the company Kool-Aid. I still have my doubts about this team too, and mainly it's bullpen health. It really is. But the good thing is, yeah, the return of these starting pitchers is going to supplement that bullpen. Like, let's not forget, you talk about Emmet Sheehan. Emmet Sheehan can be a multi-inning reliever. Bobby Miller is looking better as a reliever in his second appearance. Alexis Diaz has looked already significantly better. Michael Kopech's coming back. Bruiser Gratterall's coming back. Blake Trinan is back. Tanner Scott is going to return. Kirby Yates. So you have options, and we'll see how it plays out. At the end of the day, though, this offense is going to need to produce, and these starters are going to need to pitch well. But the Dodgers, they really take a backseat to no one when it comes to overall team talent. But let's get into your comments, guys, on the 7th inning stretch.
The 7th inning stretch.
Lemon 818, what we paid to watch the Dodgers this year was not the money, it was the expense. It was too expensive. Okay, well, just go to the next one. I don't understand that. NH Danzy, I'm going to the gym, guys, and I'm going to pound a torta just like DMac does. Okay, let me check out the comments here. We've got some down below. Only player to fit that would be Corey Seager. That's from Dan_B2B. Bilal K, Dave Roberts, minus 2020 and 2024, has choked and lost against the Cubs in 2016. World Series loss in 2017. World Series loss in 2018. Nationals in 2019. Braves in 2021. Padres. Okay. So we don't need to get into each and every one of those. Dave Roberts is going to go to the Hall of Fame as a manager. And I never want to ever hear you say anything about the Astros and saying that they cheated. And you're basically saying that if that 2017 doesn't even matter. So what Bilal K is essentially saying is that it doesn't matter that the Astros cheated in 2017, that if they weren't cheating, they would have still beat the Dodgers anyway because of Dave Roberts. So let's clarify that. Is that what you're trying to say? Spacebound to the moon. Hang the won the trade deadline banner at Petco. Parade at downtown San Diego tonight. Yeah, I was saying that. I said that on yesterday's show, having fun. Got some fun DMs. BO boy, DMac, not blowing one game in the postseason could have proven to be worth what it took to get Mason Miller. I disagree with that. One game? I mean, look, I'm not comparing Brock Stewart to Mason Miller, but Brock Stewart actually is having a better year in terms of overall WAR, and he's only blown one game all year. Mason Miller's under team control through 2029. Extremely high velocity. The odds are Mason Miller is probably going to have Tommy John surgery during that run, just because players and pitchers that throw at that high velocity get injured, right? That's just what happens. So it's like you're going to have top prospects that you could possibly use for maybe a Paul Skeens at some point for Mason Miller now. I don't know if that's the best move, in my opinion. Nico Suave, DMac, do they still believe in Ohtani to get some quality starts for at least 4 to 5? And I mean, look, that is what I've heard. That's what Dave Roberts has said, that it's feasible that he's going to go 5 innings. But you also have Tyler Glasnow, Yamamoto, and Blake Snell. Let's not forget that there are 3 guys that 100% are game 1 starter quality pitchers. Like, not a lot of teams in baseball can say that, but the Dodgers can. And if you take the Tyler Glasnow have full approach and you assume he's going to be healthy, and same with Snell and Yamamoto, then you feel so much better about this rotation than you did last year. We got Hod Low Die M51. The Padres' goal is to beat the Dodgers this month. The Dodgers' goal is to win a championship again. LOL. Nando, AJ Preller destroyed Friedman. I mean, did he destroy him last offseason? That's the most important. That's the most important time when it comes to acquiring talent. So, hey, call me when AJ Preller wins a World Series. All right. That to me is the crowning achievement. If he can win a World Series, then I'll take the L on that. But at the end of the day, Andrew Friedman is probably going to go to the Hall of Fame. So let's just be honest. AJ Preller is fun. He is good for baseball. At the end of the day, I mean, he hasn't even taken that version of the Padres to the World Series. Like, call me when he wins, not even a World Series. Call me when he gets to the World Series. Okay? Let's be honest. Last time the Padres were at the World Series, Seinfeld and Friends were the #1 shows on TV and ER. Like, I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, he hasn't even made it to the World Series, let alone won a World Series, and we're trying to say he's better than Andrew Friedman. Andrew Friedman trusts his process. Adam, TW8YD, need that Dodgers Padres NLDS rematch. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the seeding right now, it'd be Mets or Padres in that first round for the Dodgers. So that would be pure cinema. Big Joe Smash, DMac, my cousin is acting salty because they didn't trade for Correa. Okay, Big Joe Smash, here's your bruh. Henry 91746, Dodgers should hire DMac as the new spin doctor. It's not spin for me. It's actually how I think and how I feel. I'm not giving the Dodgers an A at the deadline. I'm like barely giving them a B-, but really I'm at like a C+. And also ask yourself this, pull up any writer that has done, that actually like looks at statistics. And I'm not talking about Bill Plaschke and stuff, like who's flaming on the Dodgers today, saying they took strike 3 looking. And look, Plaschke's a legend, all respect to him, but give me like a Fangraphs or MLB Trade Rumors, an MLB or a USA Today. Give me one column that has the Dodgers as a deadline loser, right? They're not a winner or a loser, right? They're just a team that made some additions, but just didn't go over the top. So I think that's kind of like their fair point there. I'm not giving them an A. A spin would be me telling you they got an A. A spin would be me telling you they crushed this and knocked it out of the park. I'm not telling you they did. But I also think that did they fail because they didn't get Steven Kwan, because they didn't give Dalton Rushing for Kwan? Right? I mean, for me, I think getting Ryan Helsley would have been the more sensible move if you could have upgraded. I mean, Pete Fairbanks not getting traded was a surprise that to me, that I was more of like, okay, you get a Pete Fairbanks, then you're in a better spot. So it's like they did nothing. Okay. And I think that's something that you have to consider here. We got NHD. DMac needs. Look, I mean, I told you, like, the parades over prospects is about superstars for superstars. The truth is, if you guys are going to run your whole baseball team based on one trade deadline, you're ignoring the current talent you have in stock. And I know I'm going to be right in the end. Like, I just know I will. Like, I truly think that this is a roster that has the requisite talent if they stay healthy. And yes, that's a big if. That is going to be better than a lot of the teams that made moves. I think Phillies are a tough team. Padres, we'll see. But like, let's not forget, when you win a World Series, which the Dodgers did last year, you buy yourself some equity from the fan base. And just talking to these players and how difficult it is to win a World Series, it's not easy. And they still went out there. And I think you guys are going to start to feel better when you see Blake Snell shove. I think you're going to feel better when you see what Brock Stewart's capable of. I think you're going to be a little more understanding when you see what Alex Call can do and if Conforto can continue this. But I get it. I get it. You get some fans. They're a little upset because they wanted the Dodgers to make bigger trades. But last time I checked, Juan Soto didn't get dealt, right? Last time I checked, Paul Skeens didn't get dealt, right? It was high leverage relievers and some position players that aren't superstars, right? No superstars got dealt. The only superstar that got dealt was Mason Miller and maybe Johan Duran at his position. Outside, there was no superstars dealt. I mean, let's just like kind of come down to reality here, all right? Molastar, Dodgers front office really spoiled. We got. So I don't think you guys are truly understanding. Like you do realize that the term parades over prospects, you can't be a moron the way you spend. You can't be a straight up idiot and give away top prospects for just like good-ish all-star players. That's not the point of that term. Parades over prospects applies to if you have a star prospect, you get a star player in return, right? And those prospects can lead to players in the offseason. So let's just like not forget that. I mean, like let's just be completely honest right here. Like if the Dodgers unloaded their farm system for the players that they were in talks with, it would potentially make their roster worse the very next offseason. And when you're already talking about a team that has a lot of talent, it just does not make a ton of sense, right? Parades over prospects applies when you can get those major impact players with guys that you have that you're not going to use and guys that aren't going to be a part of your championship window team. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see how this thing plays out. But Keith Potter, DMac, make a new intro song. I think we're going to keep that one the same. Thank you very much, but don't thank you. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. NH analyst, exactly, DMac. They wouldn't recklessly spend at Best Buy. So you think the Dodgers front office is going to give every prospect up for Kwan? No way. $5 super chat from Cantankerous 75. Guarantee Andrew Freeman is going to get so much flack for the trades if we meet the Padres in the wild card and get crushed. I mean, the flack I think would come. I think you guys need, like, these players have to perform, right? Like, these players that have gotten millions of dollars need to perform. I think that the players not performing would get a lot of flack too, not just the guy who decided to add those players. And mind you, players that have performed at these high levels in the past. But yeah, we'll see about that. Seems like I got a lot of Padres fans. I think we're gonna see a lot of Dodgers fans take up the Dodgers thing and see a Padres uniform down below. It feels like there's a lot of Padre AJ Preller fans all of a sudden. It's turning into Padres Nation. I'm glad you love what the Padres did in the offseason that have just straight up oxygen. And the Padres have the loneliest trophy case in baseball history. So it's very interesting. DMac, do you think DePaul will make his debut in 2026? More like 2027, to be honest. More like 2027. Still a bit sad about May from Steven Gomez. The Dodgers have been underperforming, so once they can fix that, we're all set. Let's talk about the older players. We need a plan. DMac, LOR6803 from $5 super chat. Yeah, absolutely. Manny Machado, Padres, run your chat, DMac. Oh man. Hey, shout out to my friend Manny Machado. Actually a really nice dude. Dant _B2B. No need to perform. Not need to perform. Better perform. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. We got Go Home Machado. Hey, you guys. Let's see what else. We got KOB GOAT, DMac, the big three, and the rest except Will Smith need better play discipline. That's a fair point. Absolutely. I mean, you just don't want to expand the zone. I think that's kind of when Shohei gets into slumps, you do tend to see that. We got Blake Snell will be injured again. That's what, man, the Manny Machado guy is like owning you guys down below. Listen, DMac. Okay. Joseph DMac, I heard the Dodgers had to play a game of blackjack to get Steven Kwan, but they busted, so that's why he wasn't traded. Wow, that'd be must-see TV. That's interesting. Bowden gave us a B+. That's from Donnie Boy. Molster, Dodgers front. I think there's a lot of this has to do with what the Dodgers did, for sure. And what the Padres did and the Dodgers didn't do. Plasky out here yelling at clouds. Yeah, absolutely. Took strike 3 looking. Yeah, absolutely. NH says, I agree with the DMac. I was a B-, stand on business. They just pessimistic and don't know how negotiation work. Don't let them. No, I'm not. It's all fun games for me, to be honest with you. But all right, guys, that is going to do it. This is DMac. Does Manny Machado ever give you stink eye for making? I never make fun of him. Dude, Slot's like my favorite character in the Goonies. Brown and Michelle, DMac, when do you think the prospects will be ready for the MLB level? It kind of depends. More like 2027, but they're going to probably be traded before then, but I think they're going to be traded for better players than they would have been traded for at this deadline. So we'll revisit that at some point, and I think ultimately you're going to see them develop because it's tough to crack this roster. It really is. A lot of guys are blocked. You have the ability to acquire talent in a multitude of different ways. So that's kind of the big reason for that, for sure. Carl says Freeland is for real. Molstar 35. It's hilarious how the Dodgers have been playing like ass for a month and they're still in first place. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, if this team goes on a run and you feel better than that, and it starts tonight. So let's look at the lineup real quick before we head out of here. Let's look at the lineup right before we get out of here. And is it out, Noel?
The lineup is out, yeah.
All right, let's check it out.
Also, Kirby Yates was placed on the IL.
So IL stint for Kirby Yates. Not a surprise there. He's got to get that splitter right. Lineup tonight, Betts leading off. Ohtani at DH. Smith behind the dish. Will Smith batting third at catcher. Freddie Freeman at first base batting cleanup. Teoscar in right batting fifth. Andy Paz batting sixth. Michael Conforto batting seventh. And left, Tommy Edman second base, eighth, and then Alex Freeland, love him getting a start at third, and then Clayton Kershaw on the bump against the Tampa Bay Rays. And Kirby Yates placed on the IL. Did they mention the move? Let's see here. We got Yates on the IL.
Got their new guys activated.
There we go. Oh, we got Brock Stewart, Paul Gervais, and Alex Call will be active tonight. That's what I'm talking about. Some new blood Dodgers. Let's see what they can do. I'm excited to see if they get their opportunities. But all right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Dodgers Dugout Live. Special thanks to our guest, Robbie Hyde, breaking it down, talking ball with us. Special thanks to Noel producing the show. Extra special thanks to the fans that make this show what it is. Cantankerous 75 $5 super chat. Roki pitching this weekend. We'll see if he's a Roki of the year form or not. Yeah, it's going to take a while to get there. That is for sure. But all right, guys, talk to you after the game for the post-game show. Join us live after this one. Going to be an early show with an early game. Tampa Bay, East Coast, minor league stadium. Can't wait to see how that looks. Missed the trot. But my name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. And if you want to support this show every day, a show where we can have good, honest conversations about your boys and blue, hit the like button for your Los Angeles Dodgers. Join us after the game. Discord, The Big Lead. Subscribe to those two. Have a great weekend, everybody. And remember that nothing, absolutely nothing, brings us together quite like Dodger baseball. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.